hi, my name is Ghassan Bendali. I'm currently the CEO of To Use. To Use is a new company, just been founded a few months ago, a couple of months ago, and we're just starting our efforts into the market. Basically, the idea is to concentrate on second-hand consumer electronic devices. We want to trade in, buy and buy back and sell out second-hand devices. The whole idea of To Use started basically quite a long time ago, a few years ago. The whole idea of having a company which is dedicated to creating a good environment for second-hand devices. It started a few years ago. I had some professional interest in the idea when I was still in my older job. We wanted to have a somehow where we can launch a good trade-in and good buyback programs for the consumers in order to make the acquisition of the new devices more affordable for them. So that's the idea. This is how we started thinking about it personally, how I personally started thinking about the idea. But also there was a personal interest as well. So there was not only from a professional point of view, but even personally I was interested. A lot of my friends, for example, who knows that I worked for the distributor of Apple at the time, used to tell me that, look, I have a drawer full of old Apple devices, what should I do with them? Okay, so that was something which, again, for me it was important because it has a certain impact on the environment. It has an impact on the whole where we live and all these kind of things. And I wanted to make sure that whatever we do in order to get rid of these devices, we do this responsibly and we do it in a good way. We tried to do we tried an effort once where we actually decided to collect some of the existing devices and donate them, because a lot of these devices, as you know, will be in a good working condition. However, their owner don't know what to do with them. So we collected these devices. We checked the local environment, see how we can get rid of these devices that are not working responsibly, making sure the batteries are not leaking and all these requirements, and the good devices that are still in working order, see if we can donate them to charity where they can use them for some schools, or they can sell them to get something like that. So that was happening just from time to time. So when I left basically my older job, I started thinking more about this idea and how we can develop it into a full-fledged solution if we can. So I started by doing some market studies to try to understand what's the market environment for second-hand devices in general and phone in particular, because phone demand is quite high. The numbers that I came up with, to be honest with you, were shocking. So first of all, there's a big demand on second-hand devices. There's a big demand on second-hand devices. However, it's not available. The actual devices are not available locally. For example, when you go to prime retailers, they are available in some online stores, and they are available also in some smaller stores. A lot of these devices have been imported from different countries, from Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, US, Europe, etc., and they have been sold over here. The problem that I saw is that whenever we see this chain that these devices are exchanging hands since the origin, whether the origin was in the US or in Japan or in Hong Kong or whatever it is, up until it reaches the consumer, sometimes there was some alteration that's been happening. With the knowledge or without the knowledge of the second person in the chain who's exporting them. It could be a wholesaler, it could be a retailer, it could be somewhere in between, etc. So a lot of things are happening to devices. And this way, that created an environment of mistrust between the consumer and between whatever they are going to buy. And that was one of the items that we saw in our market study, is that consumers were saying that we don't really know what we are buying until we actually start using the device to start to understand if this is exactly what we wanted to have or not. So trust was a big issue of people acquiring second-hand devices. The second thing is, where do we buy second-hand devices? So people who are interested in buying second-hand devices, again, whether it's a game console or whether it's a phone or whether it's a notebook, where do we buy these devices? So there was a few number of online stores that are doing a good job in promoting second-hand devices. But the majority of those were sold in smaller shops all across town, where we know that it's difficult to reach, very difficult to park. If we take examples of Dubai, for example, however, this is the same thing when it comes to Saudi. It's even worse when you go to countries like Egypt or Iraq, where it's very, very difficult to find a good, suitable place to park your car in order to go and try to shop for a second-hand phone. So basically, the whole consumer journey was not a great experience. Whether you want to sell your phone, whether you want to get rid of your phone, whether you want to donate your phone, or whether you want to buy a second-hand phone or any other device that you may have. We have LCD screens in our houses, we have notebooks, we have game consoles that we start using them, we have wearables, we have quite a lot of consumer electronics that is sitting somewhere in the house and nobody's using them, and it's actually not a great thing to have, not a great issue to have, because we don't know what's going to have to happen to these devices. While as other people are looking to buy second-hand devices for affordability issues and for environmental issues, they would like to have a second-hand device. So this is where TwoUse decided to bridge the gap and to create a better user experience for both people who would like to sell their devices and for people who want to buy their device. To buy these devices. So TwoUse, we decided to create a technology in order to make things possible, because one of the challenges, if you want, for buying second-hand devices is, how do we check the device? How do we make sure that the device is in good working order? If the owner of the device said that this device is 1, 2, 3, 4, is it really 1, 2, 3, 4? Because when I buy it like this and I want to sell it back again, I want to sell it to the consumer with a full bill of health, right? So I don't want to tell the consumer something that is not true. So first I need to check the device myself, and I need to assert its condition before actually selling it and saying that this is exactly what you are going to get. So all of these challenges will be solved by technology, by creating an application, by having a nice portal, by working with some of the good developers worldwide. We managed to create a good tech that allow us to check the phones, make sure that these phones are in good working condition and they are exactly what it's been advertised that they are. The second leg of the journey is basically, where do we sell our phones? How do we make sure that these phones are given a good treatment and properly, if they need to be dispose those, and if they are going to go to a second hand, they are not being sold off with some irresponsible claims about these particular devices. So this is where we decided that we need to tie up with the top retailers and with the telecom operators, because this is where a good consumer journey can start. So basically, a consumer can go to a shop in like a good retailer, and they will be able to drop off their phone over there. We also, the consumer will be able also to do that online. So basically, he will be able to go in online, answer a few questions about his phone, get an evaluation, and if he is happy with the evaluation, he can actually finish the whole operation while he's at home. So someone will come and they will pick up their phone. Okay, so basically making sure that the journey for people who are selling their devices is a good journey and not something which is going to be annoying for them or difficult for them to be done. But at the same time, what about people who wants to buy the second-hand device? The same thing what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a good experience for these consumers by providing an easy way of them reaching us through a good e-commerce site, where also delivery will be done to them at home without them leaving the house. But at the same time, and I think this is extremely important, by giving them real information about the device that they are buying, the real condition, the exact state the device is in, and they can take the decision that they want. Okay, so they will decide if they are happy with the phone that have a small dent, or they want to have a console which is 3 years old or 2 years old, etc. All these kind of things. So they will be taking this decision based on their needs, but everything that they see will be 100% correct. So this is the what we believe is to use mission toward the consumer when it comes to retail. But also we have another part of the journey which is in the enterprise. So we believe that the enterprise is also interested in an environmental friendly way of getting rid of all the equipments that they have, making sure that the data is erased, totally wiped clean from the devices that they are replacing. It is also something that to use that we are working with a number of system integrators to provide a good value for the products that we are getting out of the enterprise. We make sure that the data is wiped clean, so there is absolutely no way of getting access to the data once we wipe it. And we provide the devices with a nice new home, extending the life of the devices. So extending the life of the devices, whether it's bought from consumer or bought from enterprise, has a huge impact also on the environment, and I think this is something that is very important in our mission. Most studies shows that the manufacturing of the device plays the biggest role in the environmental CO2 basically creation. Example, smartphones can have 85% of the CO2 emission coming from manufacturing, and only 5% coming from logistics, transport from one place to another, etc. So basically, if we save at least one generation for these, then we are saving 85% of the whatever CO2 emission is to create one device. Okay, so and moving it from one place to another is not a major contributor to the CO2 emissions. And maybe the last thing I would like to talk about is basically our location. Why did we decide that we want to do this in Dubai? Other than the fact that this is one of my favorite places. I've been living here for the past 30 years. I made my family here, my children are born here, so for me this is literally my home. But other than the fact that we believe that there is a lot of synergy between our idea and between the idea of Dubai, right? So basically what we are doing here is we are trying to take a challenge. We are trying to take a challenge, and we are trying to see how we can surmount the challenge and create a better solution for whatever is existing today. And I think if you think about Dubai is basically they've taken the idea of the modern city and how we can create a better version of whatever we call a modern city. This is Dubai for me. The idea that innovation is a major part of whatever you want to do, And we believe that this is actually something that goes extremely well with what we are also trying to do.